this, and it's preparing to go. And then I'm going to come back here and it's going to do that. Hit record. Hello, it's Nancy Juetten, and oh my goodness, what a fantastic Learn More to Earn More show I have in store for you today. I want to start with a question. Have you ever been frustrated by tire kickers and brain pickers who belly up to the free bar to take all your free content and for whatever reason never find their way to your shopping cart or your internet front door to transact business? Has that ever happened to you? And are you ready to do something about it to change your fate for the better? Because if you are, wow, what a great day we have in store, because my very special guest is none other than the amazing and incomparable Jane Deuber. I have known Jane Deuber for years. We ran into each other at a high-end mastermind a number of years ago. It was almost like there were lights shining and we were drawn to each other like birds, what is that? Moths to a flame. We had so much in common and we just became excellent colleagues and good friends. And she and her husband have been to my house. We have sons that are similar age. We have so much in common. And I just love you so much, Jane. But I want everybody to know what the fuss is about beyond how awesome I think you are. So before you say your first word, let me just say, Jane Deuber is a sought after business strategist, best-selling author, and a 7-time successful entrepreneur. Through her 2 transformational technology companies, Jane helps coaches, consultants, authors, and trainers supercharge their client acquisition process by harnessing the power of assessments and leverage their expertise through gold standard certification programs. Her current obsession, Magpai, M-A-G-P-A-I, note that spelling, is the world's most efficient assessment software that empowers thought leaders to easily attract highly qualified leads, spark meaningful interactions with ideal prospects, and multiply their sales results and with purpose and ease. Welcome, Jane, to the Learn More, Earn More show.
Thank you, Nancy. I mean, every time you ask me to play, you know I'm all in. So thank you so much for today.
Well, I'm so happy to have you here because in my client group, we have been talking a lot about irresistible lead magnets and how to create ways to engage qualified clients to do business with us so we can smile all the way to the bank sooner versus later. And it's amazing how often it comes up that we talk about quizzes and assessments, because a number of years ago, you and I did an interview about that. And it's still one of the resources to which I point all my clients. But what I know is that a few years ago, where you were doing, what you were up to and what you're doing now, you have also evolved. And so I thought, why not bring the expert right here to talk about what's current, what's new, what's trending, and why we need to know. Because if we're tired of tire kickers and brain pickers and we're ready to deal with serious clients that are engaged, connected, and wanting to do business with us right now, how can we accelerate our path to making those connections sooner versus later? And that's really what I want to talk about today.
Yeah, let's dive in. I said it in the intro, my obsession, and it really is over the past 5 years, Nancy. What a powerful tool self-assessments are. There's all sorts of assessments out there that we have a specific kind, which is a self-assessment for the individual taking. So our prospects have a chance to self-assess. But here's what I'll say. The whole reason that Magpai, formerly it was under a brand of Smart Biz Quiz, we've relaunched the 3.0 version. My son created the whole new brand, which is always fun to see your kid do their thing. But the whole impetus for that was about 5 years ago. I had a list of 10,000 people. I'm a service-driven entrepreneur. I want to serve at the highest level, clients as well as those who are just on my list. And I was going crazy because I didn't know who was at the other end of the email. I didn't know where they were on their business path. I didn't know what were those missing pieces, what were their challenges. And it felt so impersonal to me. And so I went to the team and I said, I want to find a way to know who's at the other end of the email, because I believe it's not the size of the list. This is where you and I are in sync, not the size of the list. It's the connections you have with the people at the other end of the email. And so I don't even think you know this, Nancy. So how the tool came about is my other company is in the e-learning world. So we build online academies for clients. We had an assessment in the orientation where when a client comes into a course that we would build for our client, we would always assess where they were. And it was mind-boggling. Like our clients were saying, this assessment has changed my course retention, it's changed everything. And so I thought, what if we took that assessment that we use in the orientation of our courses and pulled it out and allowed anybody to take that. And all they need to do is exchange their email and some information. So that's how the whole thing was born. Is I wanted a way to know who was at the other end so that I could communicate with them on whether they're beginning, intermediate, or advanced. I could provide relevant information and training based on where they were. So, it all came from my frustration and my desire to serve at a higher level. So that's how the whole tool came about.
Well, and so what has happened since?
And the rest is history. So we launched that first iteration of the software, and it was really, we were using it with our community, our clients, very much referral. I did some marketing, and we had a really, really strong hit. And then, I run another company. I also stepped in as CEO for some of my clients. I mean, my history. I can't do one thing at a time. And so the company has slowly built over the 4 years. But in truth, I never really 100% put all my time in that. When you're doing 3 things, every one of them gets a little less than they probably need. And so, we all have this path, right? So I had built a business for one of my clients in 2020, believe it or not, and we took his business from $250,000 a year to $250,000 a month. So that was fun. It was insane. But I handed the keys over to him on December 31st of 2020. He had a team built, the whole thing was there. And then I had all of January to, everybody's reeling from the pandemic. And I had a whole, month to say, okay, what do I want to do now? And I started to look at the results that our clients were having, people using it for lead gen, or people using it in front of a one-on-one discovery session and knocking their conversion out of the park. And I realized that I have this tool and our clients are loving it and it's growing organically, but I've never thrown myself in. So at the same time, my 24-year-old son, Alex, he graduated, with a degree in entrepreneurship. He'd had coding school. He'd worked for a digital marketing agency. At the same time, he came and said, Mom, you and Dad are sitting on this gold mine. I love this company. Let me come in and help you relaunch it. So it's the same tool that's been working for 5 years, honestly, Nancy. I mean, it, you've experienced the tool as a client. But you bring in a 24-year-old and the tool got so much better. The interface, the UX, the UI, the effectiveness of the tool is way and beyond what it was. And then also just the brand, I think that, we need to attract people who have the same challenge that I had, which was, a stagnant list. The list was, if you have a list that's not engaged, if you have high ticket enrollment calls and you're hopping on a call with someone who isn't necessarily qualified, all these struggles, this tool literally it's inexpensive, it's easy to put into place, and it literally can solve a lot of the problems that people are having right now. So
well, I'm very excited about this because, as you know, the big thrust of the work that I do at Get Known, Get Paid is to guide service professionals to book themselves on more of the right podcasts without hiring an expensive booking agency, so that when they get on the microphone and have the opportunity to extend a call to action, the people that are listening will actually be called to say yes to their call to action. And I'm just imagining how many people who are podcast guests would love to be able to say, if you are struggling with X problem and need to get present to where the gaps exist that are preventing you from accomplishing your big goals, run and don't walk to ABC dot whatever it is, and I'll see you on the other side.
Yes.
Because by calling out what the problems are and what the gaps are that are standing in the way of where you are to where you want to be, thank you, Jack Canfield, if someone is motivated to solve that problem in an urgent way, they're probably going to get an answer that lets them know what their choices are. Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah, I mean, you're so spot on. And here's what I'll say. I mean, if you're listening to this, you're in Nancy's community, and there's no one on the planet that's better at helping you get booked in a cost-efficient way, making sure that you're booking yourself in the right places. So like, kudos to you. And the problem that everybody's having is that it's one thing to be on a podcast, but it doesn't always grow your list. And so, I mean, I think one of our clients, Julie Renee, in a period of 6 months, she grew her list by 4,000. And all she was doing is doing podcasts and leading them to the assessment. But I want to talk about the double win. But before we get to our strategy called the double win, I want to talk about why assessments are more effective than other lead magnets right now.
Yes, please do.
Yeah. I mean,
and while you're talking about that, can you also explain the difference between an assessment and a quiz, if there is a difference, just for clarity?
Oh my gosh, please. Oh my God. I'll try not to geek out too much, because there's this whole confusion in the marketplace between quizzes, surveys, and assessments. But pause, Jane. Let me give you some context. So in the digital age, what's happened is that every single person who's listening to that podcast or your webinar, every single one has more content, more links, more PDFs, more audios, more content than they could ever consume. And so while, I would even say, I don't know, you were here in the early stages, like 7 to 10 years ago, when someone said, aha, we've got this idea. It's this thing called a lead magnet, and you have them give your name and email, and then they'll get it in their inbox. It was like eureka, everybody's answer. But the problem is we've done all that, and our computers are full of content we've never consumed. So this is what I call guru-centered marketing. Guru-centered marketing is when you say, hey, look at me. This is what I do. This is how awesome I am. The spotlight is on me, what I do as a guru, whatever realm you're in, health and wellness, relationship, parenting, you name it. And so where there's value in that, because we want to share our expertise, the challenge is, number one, content overload. The second challenge is we don't learn anything about that lead other than their email and their name. And sometimes you make a phone number optional. So this doesn't give us an opportunity to do the most important thing in marketing, especially today, is create meaningful connections. So that's the old school. Just download my stuff in exchange for an email, and that's it. The new way of marketing, that is really because the digital age has made marketing so impersonal, is what I call prospects-centered marketing. And that's where, instead of shining the spotlight on us first, we first shine the spotlight on the individual. And with an assessment, many of your people may not have taken one of our assessments, but an assessment is where you, as the expert, you design an assessment that literally mirrors the outcome that your clients experience as a result of working with you, whether it's a course, whether it's a coaching program, mastermind. You literally, we design these assessments that mirror the outcome. And by the way, you don't know this, Nancy, but we now have over 15 templates for different niches. So you don't even have to think about that. You go in, find your niche, push a button, and the assessment is actually built for you. So what it does is it mirrors the outcomes of what it is you offer your clients.
I just have to say that I just got goosebumps hearing about that, because once you dial in what it is that you bring to the marketplace uniquely and specially, if you could have a way to integrate that into every touch point, how much better aligned could you be? Versus, as you were saying, the old way, I've got your name and your email address, but whether or not you've consumed my content, like nothing. Like, oh my goodness, I just got goosebumps. So tell us more.
Right. Well, so if you think about it, our time is so precious. And so I said this earlier before we started, but I attribute you to one of my favorite, I guess, benefits of the assessment is it enables you to really, first of all, shine the spotlight on the person who's taking it. So you're shining it on the prospect themselves. And it allows you, first of all, to see, where are they on their path? Are they a newbie? Because if they're a newbie, I need to communicate differently. I need to give them different content. If they're advanced, we want to acknowledge them as being a rock star. So it allows you to personalize the communication based on where they are in their path. it also helps you see, in a sense, how committed they are. So we'll talk about this in a little bit, but we do this really, it's a Jedi Knight trick. Did I say that right?
Is it a ninja trick? Do you mean?
Ninja trick, yeah. Jedi Knight, I know, whatever. It's a really cool hack. And what that is we include in this a self-assessment. So they're scaling themselves out of 1 to 10 in the areas that are relevant to what you teach. But then at the bottom, we have what we call commitment score, and we have them rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 10 in 3 areas. So imagine this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to find out what's keeping you from or blocking your success in? So what's sabotaging your relationship? What's keeping you from having financial freedom? What's keeping you from growing your business? So whatever that thing is that you do. So we're asking how committed are they really finding out what's blocking them? The second statement we have is on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to investing in support should you find the right solution, right? Scale of 1 to 10, 10, absolutely, 1, not at all. And then the third thing that we ask is on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you value the opportunity to have a conversation and explore some possible next steps? I know, bam, bam, bam.
Qualifying potential clients who are excellent candidates to wisely invest in your solution to their deeply seated problem. So
Yes.
Powerful.
Yeah. That was also born out of my pain, because at the time we created the assessment, Nancy, I had handed my sales process for our mastermind over to my team, and we went from 80% conversion when I was doing the calls to like 30% conversion. And we found that a lot of it was they were hopping on calls with people who really weren't qualified. So that's why I wanted this. So we call it a commitment score. So little, cool hack, and it's very, it's intuitive software where, so once a prospect takes the assessment, not only do we know where they score in their overall path, we also know what we call their commitment score. And if their commitment score in our world, if their commitment score is 24 above out of 30, so 24 out of 30 is their commitment score. If it's above 24, the autoresponder that gives them their results, it will automatically embed this really cute, warm and fuzzy and engaging message that says, hey, before I go over your assessment results, I'm really impressed. You have a commitment score of 24 out of 30 or 30 out of 30 oftentimes. And then you say, you're just the kind of people that we love to hop on a call with. Here's my scheduling link. Let's book a call. Then if you're integrating with your CRM, you can actually have a text message go out to say, hey, it's Jane. Super excited you just took the assessment. So you get to have that immediate connection. And so that's like, we're really inviting and opening the gate to the people who we know are committed and we want to spend our time with. Of course, you can nurture the ones that are not that high, but we also teach a little hack at Nancy where, I do it like constantly, which is if a person comes in high, it takes me, I timed myself the other day, 15 seconds. I get the response in my inbox because it's my assessment that I'm offering. I hit the reply and I have just 2 sentences. I read through, I want to say something personal. And I say, I think this is not an auto response is usually what I say in my subject line. But I will tell you 9 times out of 10, if I take 15 seconds to follow up personally with another email, because people need nudges these days, right? 9 out of 10 times they'll book a call, and then we teach a process of actually having that call where you're using the assessment results to navigate that conversation. So that's just the general process.
It's so exciting to be able to do this, because one of my core values is that I will see, hear, and celebrate you before I sell you anything. And if someone is to fill out an assessment to let me know where they stand and what they're concerned about and what they're committed and convicted to doing, yeah, I'm able to say, boy, I've really learned a lot about you even before getting the chance to meet you on this call. Tell me more about this or tell me more about that. It's a way to go deeper and create that connection so quickly, right?
Yeah, because here's why. I think we all have these, I know that every human on the planet has the need to feel seen, heard, and understood. And so we have the statements, at the top of the assessment where they're scaling themselves on a scale of 1 to 10. We have the commitment section. And then the other key piece is we added this about a year ago, and it was just mind-boggling, where they can actually add a couple open-ended questions, because some people are using surveys, which is only open-ended questions, and it's just not enough. So I was in a chat this morning in JVMM. I don't know if you're a part of that group, but I just joined. But anyway, I was in there, and they were saying, I already use a survey. I'm interested in an assessment. Do I use both? And I'm like, oh my gosh. So this tool combines the power of an assessment and the power of a survey all in one. So you have all that information together. Because when a person answers a question like, what are your greatest challenges? When you go to do that outreach, or when you go to do the follow-up, you're able to see them and say, I see you're having a challenge with lead gen, or I see you're having a challenge with such and such. And so you're able to allow that person to feel seen. It takes 15 seconds, and it totally changes your ability to spark a meaningful connection with someone who just might be your perfect client.
So there is a follow-up question I want to ask, and I know this because I'm very closely connected to my clients in my community. There is a segment of my community that's a little tech phobic. When you start talking about anything automated or anything that has to do with software, there are some people, I call it Mago, my eyes glaze over. They go, oh no, don't talk to me about tech. Don't let the tech take me out. Can you just speak for a moment about the degree to which this isn't a reason to get out?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons we did it, the 2.0 version a couple of years ago, is because we saw that people, this is a tool that everybody needs if you're in the thought leader coaching arena. And so we went and actually completely redid the interface. And so literally it's 4 steps, but you can have an assessment built by the end of the first step. We did some timing. Some people have been able to do a complete assessment within 45 minutes, which is insane. And all you're doing is you go in. And so in step 1, we asked you 3 questions, you name it. So you kind of put a placeholder name. In step 2, you pick your niche. So if you say I'm a coach for, parenting coach, or I'm a financial planner, like your husband, that was our connection on the quiz. Business coach, relationship, health and wellness. So you pick that niche, and on the right side of the screen, you will see a pre-written, tested over 3 to 4 years, a pre-written assessment approved by Jane for that niche. And you hit the button and it automatically populates those categories and statements. Then you go to the next and you say, okay, what is your goal? You don't know about this one, Nancy. This is brand new. What is your goal? So if I say, I want to put this in front of a webinar, and you hit webinar, it populates your welcome message, your thank you page, and your autoresponder with proven swipe copy that you don't even have. All you have to do is go in and change a couple of red sections, like put in your transformation or the name of your webinar. So it makes the process so easy, where you're just basically selecting, and then you hit next. And that's where you can go in and do some branding, which most people can do. And you go in and tweak your autoresponder a couple places, just a little bit. But literally, people have done it within 45 minutes. And we have daily office hours where my team is there and people dial in and we get it done for them.
That's so great. So, I remember, on a similar topic, a lot of my people were wanting to create a irresistible opt-in, the old school kind of thing, where you get the email address and they're going, well, I don't know code, and I don't know design, and I don't know this, and I don't know that. And so it's been one of my typical things, like, go get yourself a free trial to Lead Pages and see how easy it can be, because if I can do it, you can do it. And listen, tech is not my thing. So you've just answered that question, which is, listen, if you want to be systematic and reliably bringing qualified leads to your business so you can have more juicy conversations that can convert into client engagement sooner, yours is just as easy as anything else that they could try. And it's already been pre-vetted, right?
I think it's easier. It really is pretty easy. So for anybody, just to give it a try. That's why we have our 14-day free trial, which I'll get to at the end.
Well, and I actually want the 30-day treat.
I know.
And I actually got that all set up, and I'll tell you why. because as we record today's call, we're like 1 week away from Thanksgiving, where sometimes people get into vacation mode and they're ready
Absolutely.
to have turkey and stuffing. So before we get to that,
Yes.
people do make mistakes when it comes to selling things, high ticket. People want to go premium in their offerings. They want to get people to move away from selling the free thing or the discounted thing. Like, what are some of the mistakes that people make with regard to selling higher ticket kinds of things?
Oh my gosh. And how long do we have that? Yeah, so I will tell you, I've been training on the topic of sales in different industries for over 20 years. And, with regards to the people that we're talking to, which is, I consider to be the thought leader world. Number one is hopping on a call with people who are not really ready or qualified, not your ideal clients. So we've already talked about that, how we can mitigate that. So you're hopping on calls with people who are qualified prospects who are ready to say yes if it's right. The second thing that they do is go to those calls, without number one, the information they need, but without having the prospect come with awareness of what's not working. Because when a prospect comes to a conversation and they're already clear about what those missing pieces are that are holding them back, magic happens, because you shortcut the process, because a lot of people are using surveys. So if you're out there and hearing this and you're using surveys, good on you, but a couple of things. Number one, it takes way too long for you to really assess it. Some of these people can be very verbose. And they're basically, when that prospect is answering an open-ended question, they're telling you the same story they've always told you themselves. I'm sorry, they're telling themselves the same story they're always told themselves. This is my challenge. This is why it's not working. Here's my problem. You're creating no new awareness for that prospect. When you have them assess themselves on all of these crucial areas that are essential for their success, and they're having to say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10, I've nailed it, and 1, I haven't even started this. Through the process of them completing in that 3 or so minutes, they're kind of coming to like, oh, wow, okay, wait a minute. I didn't even know that was important, or wow, I haven't really addressed this. So without you having to be the person there pointing the finger or sticking the knife in and turning it, the assessment takes them to a place of awareness, so that when you hop on a call with them, it's magical. Nancy, you and I have been doing high ticket enrollment conversations like forever. And what we know is when a person places the assessment, even if you don't have it in your marketing and all you do is put it in front of a high ticket enrollment conversation, let's say you're early stage and you're just having those conversations, you can lop off about 20 minutes from a typical enrollment conversation. And the reason is you're not spending those first 10 to 15 minutes trying to get, what's not working, where's the challenges, and getting them engaged into that place of awareness. We teach a process where that high ticket enrollment, like all of our clients, they will never hold another enrollment conversation without having a client take the assessment. And that's because when a person comes, they're able to first, number one, we identify where are the places that you scored yourself high. And so you look through the assessment and acknowledge and celebrate wins at the 8, 9, and 10 level, because we want them to feel honored and we want to uplift them and want them to see that we get that there's places they really are on track. And you ask them, tell me why you scored yourself high in these areas. It warms up the conversation. It allows you to create that bond. And then you say, okay, Nancy, let's take a look at some of the places that you scored yourself low on the assessment. I see that you scored yourself low on boom. And then you say 1 or 2 areas or a category. And you just say, I'm curious, can you tell me why you scored yourself low? Do you hear how easy this is? We can take somebody who's never sold before in their life and turn them into a sales rock star, because to be able to just open the door and then they tell you why they've scored themselves low. And then go ahead.
This is funny, because just last week on one of my calls with my clients, I said, okay, we're all in the Zoom room together. It's just us folks. Is there anyone in the room willing to admit or confess that they're allergic to sales? And I watched all the hands go up. And I said, folks, it's time to bring in an antihistamine, because if we don't
You're great.
sell, nothing's going to happen. So I'm seeing this Magpai quiz as an antihistamine for those who are allergic to sales, because let the quiz do the work so that you can have a conversation that's connected with where the person is, so you can even have a vision of where it might want to go. And this whole idea of being able to lop off 20 minutes of enrollment conversation so you can dial in where the opportunities are, like, wow, how awesome is that?
Right. And for those of you who are allergic to sales, I have to tell you, one of my greatest joys over these decades of teaching sales is the reason that people are resistant to sales is because they feel as though there's a values disconnect. And when you try to do something that you feel is against your core values, you might do a little bit, but you won't do it for a long time, and you won't do it well. And so a lot of what I see happening when people use an assessment, because it's a relationship building tool. And so it changes it from this, me feeling pushy and salesy and all about the money to like turning these aroma conversations into meaningful, powerful interactions that whether they buy from you or not, people leave with this whole new awareness of why whatever that thing isn't working. And that's the greatest gift that we can give. And so, on the one side, I'd like to shift people's view of what sales is. And on the other side, I like just empowering people to see, so if you think about it, so we now know where they scored themselves low. A lot of times people have a hard time transitioning to, okay, here's how I can help you, right? It's very awkward. And then they get nervous and it gets funky and the energy gets weird. But with the assessment, it's a real simple transition, because you're saying, so, in my world, like one of the areas is the lead gen, right? So in my world, we talk about, so let's say they score themselves low in all those areas. And we say, so one of the things that we're really committed to and how Magpai can help you is it allows you to have a really compelling next step for an individual that is 100% service-based. It allows you to build credibility. It allows you to build trust instantly. And so I'm saying, if I were teaching a course, I would say, so in module 2, we really dive into that. We really make sure that you have the lead magnet. So we're able to build the bridge, right? Or for relationship, let's say people score themselves low in communication. So if I was selling a course or a mastermind on relationship, we would talk about that, understand what's behind that challenge. And I would say, here's the thing, is I found that communication is absolutely one of the most important things. So we'll do some foundation work in our first module or our first week of the course, but then we move to communication. And that's the second thing that we tackle in our 6-week program on how to, you get what I'm saying, fill in the transformation here. But so that I think is hard for people to talk about how they help. And so when you have the low score, you can talk about where in your program or where in that coaching journey you're going to address that. And now the light bulbs go off and now they can see, oh, I got it. Okay, this is how you can help me.
I love that. I want to ask one more clarifying question. We were talking about the traditional lead magnet where there's a name and an email address in exchange for content that may or may not be consumed. And in this new age of assessment marketing, now we have a tool that you've got a name and an email address, but you've got an involved participant actually engaging in important details. So here's my question. Mm-hmm. So many people are used to, slam, bam, I've got my goodie, I'm off to the races, but they may never be on their way to your shopping cart. So there's the whole quantity versus quality conversation. So I've been teaching people, like with a traditional lead magnet, you should have one that converts from click to lead at least 50%. So you know that it's reliable.
Perfect.
But with this assessment marketing approach, I'm guessing that the click to lead conversion is lower because not everybody's willing to be that involved as a first point of contact. Is that true or untrue?
To some degree. And we've done a lot of testing. A lot of it depends on the industry, right? Because some are more saturated with lead magnets and others aren't. But let's talk about this in the context of podcasting, because that's what a lot of your people are really curious about. So people love information, and whatever that lead magnet is, we want that because that's you building your credibility. It's you sharing these, whether it's 10 tips on how to lose 10 pounds in a day or whatever that might be.
Sign me up for that.
But we still want to establish our credibility and communicate how it is we impact change. So how we call it the double win. So I know that all of your clients are out there, sharing your expertise. We find that when an individual has any opportunity to share some bit of their wisdom, so podcasts, radio interviews, even standing up at a live networking event and doing a showcase, sponsoring something, any place where you're able to give just a snippet of who you are and what it is that you do, that intrigues them. And so let's use the podcast as an example. From now on, we want everybody listening for somewhere in that podcast interview for you to suggest that the host ask this magic question. And the magic question is, what do you think, what have you found to be the number one mistake or challenge that so-and-so is having, right? Or this target market has. So in our case, it's what's the number one challenge people are having when it comes to generating revenue and sales. And so you have them see that halfway through, and your response is this. Well, you know what we found is that the number one challenge is that they don't know where they're on track and what are those missing pieces that are holding them back. So if you're building a business and you're not sure what those challenges are, or if you're trying to fix your relationship and you don't know where you're disconnecting, insert transformation here, then you don't know where to focus. You don't know where to invest your time. You don't know what to put your attention to fix. And so it's really a challenge. And then you go on and continue to train. So you see that is the number one challenge. I don't know where they are. And then at the end of the podcast, every host always says, well, I know you've got a special offer for our listeners. Can you tell us what that is? And this is how I do it. So Nancy, I'll do a little role playing. So remember when I said earlier that one of the biggest challenges is that people have no idea where they're on track and off track in sales. They don't know what's sabotaging their sales success or their lead gen success. Well, I got so frustrated with it and I saw this challenge that I actually designed an online assessment. It takes less than 4 minutes to complete. And in 4 minutes, everybody listening here will be able to find out exactly where they're on track with their sales, right? With their marketing campaign. And what are those missing pieces that are keeping them from having that success? So I call it a double win. I have a special offer, and so you're going to say your URL. It's like ours is sales acceleration quiz, that kind of a thing, and say, so in less than 4 minutes, you can take the self-assessment, and along with those results from the assessment, in the autoresponder, you're going to get our 7 strategies for supercharging your sales. So what you're doing, yeah. So you're the podcast queen. Do you see how embedding
it's so svelte, it's so sexy, it's so stealth, it's all those things, and it doesn't feel like you're manipulative, and it is a win-win. It is a win-win, and I'm so excited about this, not only for all of my clients, but for myself, because I have lots of lead magnets that convert at 50% or better. And I will tell you that, and in the spirit of transparency, which is the way that I am, is I've been in business for 20 years. And I will tell you that there are people that absolutely consume the quality content I provide for free as a steady diet. And I'm happy for these people getting value, but don't we all want more qualified leads that want to get out from the fields behind the velvet rope and working with us more deeply? I mean, we all want that. All of us do. And so I want everyone who's listening to this to do a couple of things. I want them to share this video with everyone you know who's sick and tired of people that are picking brains and, what did we call it? brain picking and
who are tired of talking to brain pickers and tire kickers. That's the Nancy Juetten.
yeah, that's it. If
So-
you're tired, if you have a club of people that are tired of brain pickers and tire kickers and want to get more qualified people under the tent so they can get behind the velvet rope and create the real transformation with you as their guide, I want this video to go everywhere so that people can talk about it. Consider it your video book club assignment for the next 30 days to totally dial this in and talk about it. And since, Jane, you have suggested the win-win, I'm imagining that you have a free gift that would be helpful for people to take this out for a spin. And it's that I've asked for the 30-day trial, recognizing the time that this is debuting and people are going for holiday meals and stuff. I want people to have 30 days to take this Magpai system out for a spin. So tell us about that. And
absolutely. And first of all, you're such a great advocate for your peeps. I love it. We normally do a 14 days. This is a 30-day. And, you know, even though it's a long trial period, the reason we do any kind of trial period is because it sounds a little too good to be true. And we want you in there to see that it's actually not too good to be true. It's actually as simple as we're saying. And, you know, we've only scratched the surface in terms of the strategies. I do want to just a little piece to say list re-engagement. You are the perfect candidate for that, which is if you have a list that's not responding, well, you have a very engaged list, but you want to re-engage your list. We have a beautiful swipe copy in our back office. You can actually just swipe an email, send it to your list with the link. It's just remarkable. So I digress. So the trial. So here's what happens. So when you activate the free trial, you don't have to put a credit card in. All we need is the basic information. You're going to automatically be put in the back office. You can come back if you can't do it right away, but I'm just telling you, click the link and click create my first assessment and you'll be amazed. There's basically just 3 things that you're picking. And here's what I'll say, just go ahead and do it because you get to play with as many versions of the assessment during the trial as you want. So just go in and play, pick the niche markets that's as close to your market as possible. If you don't find your own niche, we're actually notified. If you say, I'll create my own, we're actually notified and we go out and we look to see, is this a new assessment that we can help someone build? And so we'll actually work with you if you don't find one that fits the niche. Then secondly, pick a campaign. I would suggest for everybody, so 2 different niches that are most common. If you are already have people on your calendar for one-on-one conversations or opportunities to book one-on-one conversations, pick the pre-discovery sequence, the pre-discovery session sequence. It like automatically sets it up so that all you have to do is a couple tweaks and you could send that out like today or tomorrow to anybody who's on your calendar. It's basically just says to make the most of this time that we have together, please click here and take this quick assessment. So that's for those people. If you are doing a webinar, there's a webinar sequence. If you're just doing lead gen, there's a lead gen sequence. So all of the strategies that you have to be using one of them if you're in business, they're all there. Just pick it and then go in and play. I mean, it's unbreakable, by the way. You can't break this thing. And you can always start again and create a new one and go back. And then we have daily office hours where, you know, our amazing team is standing by to answer questions.
So I want to say something about that. Just last week on one of my calls, I was mentioning to folks that, are you spending a lot of time trying to make perfect your lead magnet to the exclusion of actually getting calls on the calendar? And it's amazing how many people said, yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. And I said, can you see the flaw in that? So much better if you can actually get on a call with someone who's got a problem that's needing a solution that you can address. So for those who are clients of mine who are watching today's call, I want you to be rushing to getpaid.com/Magpai, MAGPAI. And I want you to avail yourself to this 30-day trial, because if getting calls on the calendar is your priority and you can convert 50% of your calls to clients sooner versus later, why would you wait? What else are you working on in your world that's going to allow you to get that kind of an impact sooner versus later? That may be just busy work that won't get you to the beautiful music of ka-ching faster. And that is what I want for you. And then isn't it also true that once folks download the free trial, they'll also gain access to this useful, amazing report.
Absolutely. Yep. That's there. Yep.
And I read this morning, and I'm a content queen. The 7 strategies for accelerating sales through the power of assessment marketing. This is so good. You just have to go get it.
That means a lot coming from you, my friend.
Well, isn't it true that birds of a feather fly together? Us quality people end up hanging out together for years. It's not just, I did a call with Jane, I'm never going back. No, I did a call with Jane a few years ago.
Right.
And I thought to myself, I know she's on the path to mastery. She's always raising the bar, making things better. I think I need to bring Jane back. And what do you know?
Here we are.
Jane, would you come back? And she said,
I love it. And we shared champagne at that beautiful place in Seattle.
Yes, we sure did. So we should all be collecting jewels in the crown along our journey of people that have expertise that's outside of our own, that makes our own initiatives even stronger. So who is watching that's going to rush to getknowngetpaid.com/Magpai, MAGPAI. I want 100% yes from everybody who's watching.
Yeah.
And what else shall we say as we, what else would you like?
You know what I would love to say is, if you're a heart-centered entrepreneur, if you really do want to create those meaningful connections, that's why you do what you do. I know it sounds a little bit of an oxymoron, but this tech tool can actually help you do that. And don't be afraid. I've built 7 businesses over 35 years.
And they're 7-figure businesses.
Yeah, they've all been very successful. And one of the reasons that I was always able to beat the odds of staying in business and succeeding is because I was always willing to try things. I was always willing to say, I'm going to give it a shot. And that's really behind the free trial, and once you say yes to, by the way, like some people think, oh my gosh, it's going to be super expensive after the free trial. It, on the low end, it's $19 a month. Right. And yeah, so just, I know a lot of talk about something really simple. So, if you really are serious about growing your business, you should be willing to try some things, and we make it super fun and super easy.
And super fruitful. I mean,
absolutely.
Makes me think of a story. My husband, who, he's been in business since I think it's been 22 years. He's been a financial advisor. But everybody has their humble beginnings, and way back in the day when he was starting out, he had this very simple website, and it was very simple. And he was working with a coach at the time, and the coach said, well, what do you want people to do as a result of visiting the website? And he says, well, I'd like to get on a call with them if they're the right fit to see if I could support them further. And he says, there's no point on your website where people even know that they can book a call. Like, it was hiding in plain sight. So he put the thing like book a call. And then his system is that you book a call and then you have to give some information. So he's doing something very similar. Well, over time, he's become what we call a master of new client enrollment. And 80% of the people that book a call actually decide to do business with his fee-only advisory firm. 80%.
That's amazing.
So if you would like to become a master of new client enrollment and talk to the right people at the right time when they're suffering from a problem, can you see the value of having an assessment so that they can come to some awareness that they have a problem that's standing in the way of their bigger outcome? I mean, it just makes such perfect sense. And I hope that everybody who's watching is inspired, because I don't think anybody in business would be disadvantaged in having more quality conversations that turn into cash.
Absolutely.
And speaking of quality conversations, that's really what my business is all about, having quality conversations and encouraging my clients to have quality conversations on podcasts, broadcasts, group masterminds. If you could get the opportunity to be a guest faculty expert in service to other groups and organizations, and your call to action is take this amazing quiz with a sexy name and I'll see you on the other side, you'll be seeing them on the other side. You can convert them into a client that's well connected even before you've asked for the order. I think it's so savvy and brilliant. And I just want to compliment you on continuing to evolve and grow and make more masterful your beautiful system that can serve so many.
Thank you so much. And I love the fact that the people who are attracted to you and drawn to you, Nancy, they're up to big things. They have an important mission. And so if we can play a part in actually not only getting the word out there, but have you be richly rewarded for the difference that you're making, then my work here is done.
Well, and since you brought that up, what is it that I'm trying to do here? It is the wild, wild west of podcast guesting now more than ever. I think, as Jack Canfield says, there may not be a new normal, but there's going to be a new better, where we can all speak up from wherever we are and make our difference, raise our voice, make our impact, and make money every step of the way. And if I had any big wish or mission, is that the quality of those conversations elevates to a level where we are all more enriched for those conversations, and we're all pointed in the right direction to the service providers that can help us accomplish our bigger goals and have our legacies be alive today. So that's really what
Amen, sister.
If you are new to Nancy Juetten, well, it's very nice to meet you. If you've just been delighted to be introduced by Jane Deuber, aren't you glad you came? And you know what? I do a live interview or a solo show just about every week from this YouTube channel. If you're not yet a subscriber, won't you please hit that red subscribe button, because then you'll be first to hear about what's coming up first. You'll be in that inside club. And then, of course, for today, where are you going? GetKnownGetPaid.com/MAGPAI, so you can start your 30-day free trial of the Magpai assessment tool, which is going to be a game changer, especially if you want more qualified people doing consults with you, that you will one day be able to smile all the way to the bank. Okay? You were my favorite. Such a great guest. And I want to also say, I want to give you a little one more little thing I want to say. I'm watching Oprah and Adele last night on television, and I'm thinking, I wonder what Jane's doing tomorrow at 1. I'm just going to ask. And I said, any chance that you can make time to do this and talk about being media ready, media savvy, and on message with everything I needed to set you up to have a brilliant show, A+ to you. If every single host had guests like you show up, the bar is already raised. That's really what makes this so much fun. Be that guest that makes it so easy for the host to do great work. And I can virtually guarantee that more people are going to reach out to Jane as a result of learning from her today to be on their shows and to be on more shows.
Oh, that would be great. I would love it. I love doing this. And what I said to Nancy is, well, I have this dear friend who taught me that you always have to be prepared whenever opportunity arrives, which is you. And when she texted me at 9 o'clock, I'd said, well, I better deliver because this is what she taught me. So thank you for the opportunity. Always happy to drop in. So thank you so much, Nancy.
Thank you. And thanks all of you for watching. Share this out with as many people as you can, and let's get assessment marketing on everybody's high priority list on the front burner sooner versus later. This is Nancy Juetten and Jane Deuber signing off for the Learn More, Earn More show for today. Make it a great day, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Bye-bye.